now let's talk about when they're doing the incorrect thing, okay? And this can be called the pendulum sweep, the flower sweep, it just depends, but most people call this the pendulum sweep. At my gym, they got addicted to the name flower sweep. So if you're at flow state, we call this the flower sweep, okay? So I'm right here, and now they're doing the incorrect thing. They're trying to push into me like this, and they're even trying to hug my head, or they're trying to do one of these numbers. And to be honest, you might think, oh man, this is good for them. I'm usually thankful, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to hug underneath her leg, and I'm going to kick her up and over, and then I get to my mounted position. Let's do that again. Oh, it's okay. So if her butt ever goes up in the air for whatever reason, I'm going to use that to hook underneath her knee. And I might go to let me do it on the other side so you guys can see. I'm going to hook underneath. I'm going to try to get my ear as close to her knee as possible. Now, this is her posting arm. And as we talked about in the intro course, we have something called like the table method or the table theory, where her knees or feet and her hands make a table. And so it's going to be really easy to break that table down by breaking one of the legs of the table and pushing her towards wherever that leg is broken. That leg of the table is broken. So like when we go for the hip bump sweep, for example, I'm taking away a leg from the table, in this case her arm, right? And I'm pushing her towards where that normally kept her balanced, right? And so with the flower sweep, it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to get underneath her hips. When my hips are underneath her hips, I'm doing great. I'm taking away her posting arm, right? And I'm pushing her towards that posting arm with my legs and my hips. And that's going to get me from bottom position to a mounted position, which mount is an incredible position. So again, from this angle, right? So when she lifts her butt up, especially if she's like pushing on me or trying to choke me or something like that, I just lock in one arm. I open my guard so that way I can scissor my legs kind of like this. And I'm trying to get underneath her. I'm not moving away from her. The more underneath her I am, the better. So I try to hook her leg like this. Like I'm trying to wrap around her leg underneath her knee and put it like I'm trying to answer the phone. Boom. And you see how my ear now is next to her knee, and my foot goes from her hip, and I'm trying to kick up over her head. The more towards her armpit, the better, because then I can put a lot of pressure towards that leg, or her, in this case, her arm, to break her over. And that way I can get to a mounted position. All right, one more time. Let's scooch that way. Just a hair. So I got this closed guard. She lifts her butt. Maybe she's hugging my head. So I just block this arm from being able to post. It's now going against her. Like her offense is being used against her. I get underneath her and I kick her up and over. And now I keep holding on to this leg until I establish my mounted position. Then I can let go and move on to whatever offense I'm going to do from there. Okay? So what's really neat about this is you can maybe even combine these things together. Right? So like, let's say I'm going for my hip bump sweep, but she instead, rather than posting or leaning back, she sees I'm going for the hip bump sweep and she launches her hips up in the air. Boom. And now I can transfer that to the flower sweep. Okay? And we're going to talk about here at the end of this section, what are we going to do when they go for certain different counters? Well, what if they post and what if this? Don't worry too much about the what ifs right now. Just focus on the fundamentals of getting those hip bump sweeps and getting those flower sweeps. And what's nice is as you go for those pendulum or flower sweeps and they're posting, you're going to find after you do it in a repetitive manner, what's working, what's not working, and you're going to fill in those gaps automatically. I'm going to give you some options to show you, but it's really going to make sense to you as you start doing them live. This is just breaking down the fundamentals to know what core aspects to go for when you're in those positions. So we got the hip bump sweep when they're doing the correct thing. We got the flower sweep when they're doing the incorrect thing by lifting their hips, which is why normally when you're doing a good closed guard or you're in somebody's closed guard is you're not allowing them to get underneath you because they have fundamental sweeps such as the flower sweep.